Christmas Day wasn't supposed to look like this. I was sitting in a low beach chair, toes buried in warm sand, the kind that still holds the sun even in the morning. My sunglasses were crooked from the breeze, my hair still damp with salt water, and my phone was buzzing non-stop on the little plastic table beside me. Somewhere behind me, waves rolled in slow and steady, completely unaware they were about to witness the most dramatic Christmas my family had ever had. When I finally picked up the phone, it was already too late. I tapped accept. My mom's face filled the screen, red and flushed. Her hair pulled into the same messy bun she'd worn every Christmas morning since I was a kid. Behind her, absolute chaos. 5 children. Screaming, crying, running in and out of frame. Wrapping paper everywhere. Someone was yelling about a missing Lego. Another kid was definitely hitting someone else with a candy cane. Then my mom saw me. She froze. Her eyes flicked down first, then back up. To my sunglasses. The ocean behind me. The unmistakable blue sky. And then she gasped, loud and sharp, like she'd just been slapped. "What?" she said. "What is that? Jessica, this cannot be happening." I didn't say anything yet. I just leaned back slightly, letting the phone catch the full view. The beach chair, the sand, the water stretching endlessly behind me. I tilted the camera down for half a second so she could see the plane ticket photo still open in my gallery. Honolulu. Departed 3 days ago. Return date. After Christmas. Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. You're not here?" she asked, even though the evidence was literally shimmering behind me. "No," I said quietly. "I'm not." Because for the first time in my adult life I wasn't. This was the year they all assumed, without asking, that I'd do it again. That I'd wake up early, drive across town, and automatically become the built-in babysitter while everyone else cooked, drank, relaxed, and laughed. Like I always did. Like I had since I was 19. Like being single at 27 somehow meant my time didn't count as real time. I could already hear it if I'd been there. "Jessica, can you just watch them for a second? Jessica, you're so good with kids." Jessica doesn't mind, she doesn't have any of her own yet. Yes, if that word explained everything. But this moment, this gasp, this stunned silence, this Christmas morning video call with 5 screaming kids in the background, this didn't start today. It didn't start with the beach or the plane ticket or even with me saying no. It started years ago, with all the times no one asked. And now my mom was staring at me like I'd committed a crime, while I sat under the sun, finally choosing myself. And before you decide whether I was selfish, dramatic, or completely justified, if you've ever been treated like the automatic babysitter just because you're single or don't have kids yet, stay with me until the end and tell me if you think I went too far. Or not far enough. 2 weeks earlier, I was still in my office when my phone rang. It was nearly 9 at night, the building mostly empty, the fluorescent lights humming softly above me. I'd stayed late, again, because overtime didn't ask whether you were tired or not. My coat was draped over the back of my chair, my laptop half closed, my brain already halfway to the beach trip I'd booked months ago and desperately needed. That's when my mom's name lit up my screen. I almost didn't answer. Almost. "Hi, Mom," I said, wedging the phone between my shoulder and ear as I shut down my computer. Her voice came through bright and energized in that way that always meant she'd already decided something. "Jessica. Perfect timing. I have the most wonderful plan for Christmas this year." That word, plan, made my stomach tighten. She launched into it without pausing for breath. Everyone would be at the house. Your sister, your brother, their spouses. The kids, all 5 of them, would be there too. It was going to be loud and fun and festive and just like old times. Then came the part she'd been building toward. "So," she said lightly, "I was thinking you could watch the kids for a couple of days. Just while we get everything set up and have some adult time." Couple of days that I stopped walking. "Wait, what?" "Oh, nothing big," she rushed in, already smoothing it over. "You're so good with them, and you know how much they adore you." There it was. Compliment first. Obligation second. "I can't," I said carefully. "I already booked my beach trip. I told you about it months ago." The line went quiet for half a second. Then she sighed, the long, heavy sigh I'd known my whole life. "Well, you're flexible," she said. "You don't have a husband or kids to worry about." Flexible. That word landed harder than anything else she'd said. Flexible didn't mean adaptable. Didn't mean easygoing. It meant my time was optional. My plans were placeholders. My life could be bent, rearranged, or erased because no one else depended on me. I've already paid for it, I said. Non-refundable. She laughed softly like I was being dramatic. Money isn't everything, Jessica. Some of us have real responsibilities. Real as in not meet as in the job I was sitting in, the overtime I was working, the exhaustion in my bones. None of it counted. She kept talking. Something in me started replaying old scenes like a montage I hadn't asked for. Me at 14, missing a friend's birthday party because my aunt needed help. Me at 17, canceling plans last minute because someone volunteered me to watch the kids. Me at 22, standing in the kitchen while everyone else drank wine in the living room saying, I don't mind. Because it was easier than fighting. I had always been the backup babysitter. The default option. The one who didn't have anything else going on. And suddenly in that quiet office, something cracked. But it wasn't the kind of crack that breaks you. It was the kind that sharpens. What if I didn't fix this for them? What if I didn't rearrange my life to keep theirs running smoothly? What if, just once, I let them experience the chaos they always dumped on me? My mom was still talking, listing reasons, responsibilities, sacrifices. I barely heard her. I'll think about it, I said finally. She sounded relieved. Good. I knew you'd come around. We hung up, and for the first time ever, instead of rehearsing excuses to get out of my trip, I found myself thinking, what if this year I let them feel the chaos they always dumped on me? I didn't call her back. I called Martha instead. Martha picked up on the second ring. Hey, she said. You sound tight. What happened? I sank into my couch, kicked off my shoes, and stared at the ceiling like it might have answers. My mom called. Christmas. That's all you had to say, Martha replied immediately. What are they asking you to do this year? I told her everything. The wonderful plan. The 5 kids. The couple of days. The way my mom had said flexible like it was a compliment instead of a dismissal. Martha didn't interrupt. She just listened. And when I finally stopped talking, she let out a short, humorless laugh. Jessica, she said, they treat you like a service, not a person. The words hit me harder than my mom's guilt ever had. Before I could respond, Martha kept going, like she'd been waiting years to say this. Remember the office holiday party you skipped because your sister needed help last minute? The New Year's Eve you spent watching kids while you had a fever? Or the wedding you couldn't attend because someone assumed you'd be available? I swallowed. I remembered all of it. Each moment had felt small at the time. Reasonable. Temporary. But stacked together, they formed a pattern I couldn't unsee. They never give you a heads up, Martha continued. They just decide. And you adapt. Every time. That's just how families are, I said weakly, even as it sounded wrong. No, she said firmly. That's how people act when they know you'll always absorb the inconvenience. I was quiet for a long moment. So what? I finally asked. I just say no? Yes, she said, then paused. But more than that, you stop managing their emotions for them. I frowned. What does that mean? It means you don't warn them. You don't soften it. You don't rearrange your life so they don't feel uncomfortable. You let them deal with the consequences of their assumptions. That feels petty, I said. It feels fair, she corrected. They never warn you when they volunteer your time. Why are you the only one expected to be considerate? Something in my chest shifted. Not explosively. Quietly. Like a knot loosening after being pulled too tight for too long. After we hung up, my phone buzzed again. The family group chat. I opened it, and there it was. Mom had written earlier that day. So glad Jessica already promised to watch the kids so we can all relax this year. Red heart. My stomach dropped. I scrolled. My sister had replied with clapping emojis. My brother. You're the best, Jess. Someone else. Thank you. We owe you big time. I stared at the screen, heat creeping up my neck that I had never promised. Not once. I had said I'd think about it and no one had asked. Not a single person. They were thanking me for a decision I hadn't made. celebrating a sacrifice I hadn't agreed to, because it had always been safe to assume I'd fold, and that's when it snapped, not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a clean, internal click. I didn't type a long explanation. I didn't defend myself. I didn't correct anyone, I simply replied, "I'll figure out my schedule and let you know." That was it. And as I set my phone down, I realized something had fundamentally changed. For the first time, I wasn't scanning the situation for a way to fit in or keep the peace. I was looking for a way out. Because how many times are you supposed to set yourself on fire to keep everyone else warm before you finally walk away from the matchbox? A few days later, I was on my lunch break, sitting in my car with my laptop balanced on my knees. The beach rental page was still open, the same one I'd been circling for weeks. Dates highlighted in blue. December 23rd through the 27th. The exact window my mom wanted me home. The exact days everyone assumed I'd be wrangling kids while they relaxed. My finger hovered over the trackpad. This was the point of no return. I thought about all the times I'd hesitated before, left plans tentative, avoided committing, kept my schedule loose just in case someone needed me. I called it being considerate. But really, it was being available for other people's convenience. I clicked confirm. The screen refreshed. Reservation confirmed. Payment processed, and my chest felt tight, and strangely light at the same time. That afternoon, my mom called again. "So," she said, skipping any pretense, "have you thought about it?" "Yes," I said carefully. "And?" Her tone sharpened, expectant. "I'm still thinking." There was a pause. Then a small, annoyed huff. "Well, I already told your siblings you'd do it." My grip tightened on the phone. "You told them that before I answered." "You didn't say no either," she replied quickly. "Smooth. Practice. And everyone's counting on you." There it was, the trap. If I told them now, there would be weeks of pressure. Text. Explanations. Emotional negotiations designed to wear me down until giving in felt easier than holding the line. And suddenly I saw it clearly. They never gave me warning. They never asked in advance. Never checked my schedule. They just decide, Jessica will handle it, and let me scramble to make it work. So why was I expected to offer courtesy I'd never been given? "I haven't made a final decision," I said calmly. Her voice dropped into what I recognized as the danger tone. "Don't pull anything dramatic, Jessica. This is about being responsible." Responsible. Which, in my family, had always been code for sacrificial. That night, I opened a blank note on my phone and started typing everything I'd never said. Every missed opportunity. Every dismissed plan. Every time someone had laughed and said, "You don't really have anything going on." I wrote until my hands shook, then I called Martha. "I'm going to stop protecting her from consequences," I said. She didn't sound surprised. "Good," she replied. "You're allowed to be done." I stared out my apartment window at the city lights, my reflection faint in the glass. I knew there would be fallout. Anger. Accusations. I could already hear the words forming. But I was more tired of being scared than I was afraid of what would happen next. They never gave me much warning when they needed me. They just decided I would figure it out, so this time I decided I would give them the exact same courtesy they had always given me. None. Christmas Eve morning arrived quietly. My alarm went off at 6. Outside, the sky was still dark. The city hushed in that rare way it only ever is on holidays. My flight was at 10 a.m. I moved through my apartment calmly, almost ceremonially. Coffee brewing, suitcase already packed by the door, passport tucked into the outer pocket like a promise across town. My mom still thought I'd be at her house by noon. My phone buzzed as I poured my coffee. The family group chat again. "Jessica, can you bring the kids snacks? Don't forget the extra pajamas. We'll save the guest room for you, Red Heart." I stared at the screen, a strange peace settling over me. This was the moment I typed a private message to my mom first. "I never agreed to babysit. I told you I'd think about it. I won't be there. I'm out of town for Christmas." 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared. Then appeared again. That I didn't wait. I sent screenshots. My flight confirmation. Packed suitcase by the door. A picture of my beach hat sitting on top, absurdly cheerful. Her reply came fast and sharp. You're being selfish. You're ruining Christmas. I read it, let it sit, and felt nothing. No rush of guilt. No spike of panic. Just a steady calm, like standing behind glass while a storm raged on the other side. The airport. Everything was loud and bright and chaotic. Families juggling strollers. Kids crying over lost mittens. Holiday music blaring from tinny speakers. It was chaos, but it wasn't mine to manage. My phone buzzed non-stop. The group chat had exploded. Wait, what? I thought you said she promised. She's not coming. What are we supposed to do? I typed one message to everyone. I didn't promise. I wasn't asked. I made plans months ago and I'm keeping them. I'm done being assumed into roles without my consent. That was it. My phone rang immediately. Mom, I answered just as I reached my gate. The sound hit me first. Screaming, crying, someone yelling about spilled juice. Something crashing in the background. How could you do this to me? She demanded. Her voice was tight, brittle. Do you have any idea what you've done? I do, I said evenly. And you should have thought about that before planning around me without asking. Silence. Then an incredulous laugh. So this trip is more important than your family. I looked out the wide airport window at the plane waiting on the tarmac. Sunlight glinting off its wings. This trip is more important than being taken for granted, I said behind her. A child wailed louder. Someone knocked something over. The chaos escalated, raw and unfiltered, no buffer left. This cannot be happening, she whispered, like the words themselves might reverse reality. The boarding announcement crackled overhead. Final boarding call. I have to go, I said. You're really doing this, she said. Yes, I replied. You'll have to figure it out without me. I ended the call as I stepped onto the plane. I put my phone on airplane mode. The noise cut off instantly. No buzzing. No demands. No emergencies. Just quiet. I took my seat, buckled in, and closed my eyes as the plane taxied forward. For the first time in my life, I wasn't fixing anything. And for once, I didn't rush to make it easier. I put my phone on airplane mode and chose myself instead. When the plane landed, my phone came back to life all at once. 37 unread messages. Missed calls. Voicemails stacked on top of each other like bricks. My stomach tightened. Not with regret, but with anticipation. I waited until I was seated in the terminal before opening the family chat. It was a battlefield. You said she promised. Why would you plan everything around her without confirming? Now we're canceling plans because there's no childcare. The tone had shifted. Slowly, unmistakably, the blame was moving. My mom tried to regain control. She changed her mind last minute, she wrote. I didn't expect this. My jaw clenched that I hadn't changed my mind. I had acted on it. For the first time, I wasn't absorbing the fallout quietly. Everyone else was finally feeling the weight I'd carried every Christmas. Every holiday, every just for a few hours, that turned into days. My phone rang again. I answered. Her living room filled the screen, and it looked like a disaster zone. Wrapping paper everywhere. Cartoon blaring at full volume. 2 kids wrestling on the floor. Another crying loudly near the couch. You cannot be serious about this little stunt, she snapped. I tilted my phone and showed her my view instead. The pool shimmering in the sun, palm trees swaying gently, a cloudless blue sky. Her face went still. You're really there, she said. Yes, I replied. She inhaled sharply. This is about responsibility. I felt a familiar irritation rise, and then settle. Why is this my responsibility? Yes. When did you decide that? She faltered, then shifted tactics. I can't do this alone. I've been doing it alone for years, I said quietly. I'm done caring alone. Her eyes filled, frustration and disbelief mixing together. You're punishing me. Or maybe, I said, I'm refusing to keep punishing myself. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I pressed gently. When was the last time you asked what I wanted for Christmas? She couldn't answer behind her. My brother shouted something about spilled juice. One of the kids started crying again. This conversation isn't over, she said sharply. I'm letting you deal with the situation you created, I replied. Then I ended the call. The guilt surged immediately. Reflexive. Automatic. My thumb hovered over her contact, ready to call back and smooth things over like I always did. Instead, I looked up across the pool. Another family sat together. Parents relaxed, laughing softly. When one kid wandered off, the other parent stepped in without resentment or drama. Shared responsibility. Shared presence. Something clicked. Being endlessly available had never made me a better daughter. It had just made me easier to use. That night, as the sun sank into the ocean, I ordered room service. The sound of waves drifted through my open balcony door. No crying. No demands. Just quiet. Somewhere far away my family was scrambling. And for the first time Christmas Eve belonged to me. Because if you always save everyone from the fire, how will they ever learn to stop playing with matches? 2 weeks after Christmas, the family chat went completely silent. No passive-aggressive memes. No follow-up guilt. No forced cheer. Just quiet. Then on a random Tuesday evening my mom called. Her voice was different. Calmer, stripped down. Tired. Christmas was a disaster, she admitted. She told me everything. The cancelled dinner plans. The frozen pizzas eaten off paper plates. Frosting ground into the living room rug. Kids melting down while adults snapped at each other. That's what scares me, she said quietly. You weren't sorry. I didn't rush to reassure her, she went on. Aunt Lillian apparently had said something that stuck. You built the whole holiday on Jessica without asking if she wanted to hold it. There was a pause. Then my mom said it, awkwardly, unevenly but honestly. I think I treated your life like it mattered less. The apology that followed wasn't polished. It wasn't dramatic. But it was real. I used you as a guarantee, she said. You've been doing that my whole life, I replied gently. She didn't argue. She acknowledged the pattern she'd created. Oh, I set the terms. You ask. You don't assume. If I say no, that's the end. No guilt trips. If I babysit, I get paid like anyone else you'd hire. And you never tell anyone I promised something I didn't. She flinched at that last one, but she agreed. Then she asked, do you think you can forgive me? Took a breath. Forgiveness, I said, is maintaining a boundary even when people are sorry. A few days later my sister texted me. Barbecue this weekend if you're free. No kids dumped on you, just wanted you there. I smiled. That was the real shift. Not punishment. Not revenge. Just forcing them to rebuild without assuming I was the foundation. Next Christmas is still uncertain. And that's okay. Now they treat me like an equal, not a resource. They felt the weight I used to carry. And my mom finally understands. My consent matters more than my compliance. Oh, you tell me. Was I cruel for stepping back and letting my family feel the chaos they had always dumped on me? Or was this the only way to make them finally see me as more than the built-in babysitter? Would you have gone further? Or do you think I drew the line exactly where it needed to be? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.